January 22nd, 2017, Naika, just 14 years old, would spend nearly 3 hours broadcasting herself on Facebook Live as she contemplated something dark and unimaginable. As she stood in the bathroom of her foster parents' home, she pleaded for her birth mother's affection, wishing she could just be loved, wishing she could just be part of a normal family. But unfortunately, that day would never come for her. Parents are supposed to love and protect their children, but Naika never got that. She was resented and passed around from home to home. Poor Naika didn't deserve what happened to her. Hello strangers, welcome back to the Strange Bar and Grill. I'm your host, JP. Today's story is probably one of the saddest stories I've come across. It truly breaks my heart every time I hear it. This is the story of Naika Venant. Naika was born on December 15th, 2002, to her mother Gina Kays in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. But they would later move to Florida just a few years later. Not much is known about her father, but she had a very rough childhood and a tumultuous relationship with her mother. From an early age, all she knew was pain. She was only 4 years old when she would be left unsupervised at the home she shared with her mother. She suffered serious neglect as she also wasn't being fed on a regular basis. In 2007, DCF caught wind of her situation and they decided to investigate. And once they got to her home, they quickly realized not only was she being neglected, but the house didn't even have running water. Naika was only 4 or 5 at this time. Now that would be the first time DCF got involved, but it wouldn't be the last. After the first DCF visit, it wouldn't take long at all before her and her mother would have to answer to DCF again. As just a year later, in August of 2008, they would be called out once more. Around this time, Naika would be diagnosed with a chronic medical condition. She would repeatedly complain to the school staff that she was sick and never felt good. The school would make a report of each incident. Eventually, her mother would hear about her claims to the school, and she would go on to say that she was a liar and she was just making up a fake illness, and nothing was actually wrong with her. But it turns out, the mother was in fact lying, and Naika was telling the truth. In an attempt to manipulate Naika, her mother would constantly threaten to send her back to Haiti so that she would feel better. The following year, another incident would occur where DCF would be called. Now in this report, it stated that Naika was beaten so badly with a belt that she had over 30 lashes on her back, as well as multiple welts being found all over her arms and legs. Now you won't believe when I tell you what happened and why she received this beating. She received this punishment because her mother left her home alone with her mother's boyfriend on multiple occasions, and she was forced to sit with him in bed and watch adult films. The mother's boyfriend would then assault her. And one day, Naika's mother would walk in and catch Naika being assaulted. Naika's mother would blame her. Now that sounds insane, but that's not the worst part yet. Naika was only 6 years old at the time of being attacked by a grown adult. And do you want to know what that report said? It said that Naika was the initiator of this assault. Now you tell me, how in the hell can a 6-year-old be the initiator of an assault on herself? That makes absolutely no damn sense. The mother is a demon for even trying that. Whoever this boyfriend is, he deserves to be castrated and put down like the sick dog he is. So when the state finds out about this, they decide to take Naika away and place her in foster care. And this was around 2009. And if you know anything about the foster care system, Naika is going from a bad situation to another bad situation, because kids in foster care can still face abuse and are assaulted as well. Now, I'm not saying all foster situations are like this, but we know not everyone has their hearts in the right place. And unfortunately, Naika, just 7 years old at this time, went on to one of the bad facilities where she was beaten on a regular basis. The facility would eventually be found guilty of excessive corporal punishment, and in that same year, she would contract a UTI. So when she gets to the doctor determines that it was sexually transmitted. So not only was she being beaten by whoever was in charge of this facility, but she was also being assaulted, and the culprit turned out to be a 14-year-old boy. And keeping in mind, she was only 7 years old at this time. Now, for some of you listening, you might be saying, how did she go from one bad situation to the next? Isn't DCF supposed to help? Shouldn't they be saving the children? Shouldn't they be providing a safe space for these children? For those that know, sometimes the predators are the ones that are supposed to be helping. Naika would be in foster care from January of 2009 to June of 2010, but would be returned home to her mother. But like you probably guessed, things didn't get any better. Her mother would often report to the social workers that Naika acts like she's a grown woman and that she can't distinguish between appropriate and inappropriate activity. Well, I wonder where she learned that from, Mom. From June 2010 until 2014, Naika would be living a life of hell with her mother and her boyfriends. But in 2014, she would be returned back to foster care for roughly under 2 months. She would be there in April of 2014 until June of 2014. When she returned home again to be with her mother, things were still the same, because nothing changes with sick, disgusting people. They just, at this point, need to be locked up. Now, I don't have any information of like possible grandparents or family maybe on the father's side, but Naika was just surrounded by bad, horrible people at all times. She just couldn't escape. In April of 2016, Naika's mother would take her to the DCF building and hand her over to a social worker. And then she just said, "I had it with Naika. She's your problem now." And then she just walked out the front door. And from that day, Naika would remain in foster care for the next 14 months. Naika would bounce around from 14 different foster homes. And it's around this time that Naika started to develop an unhealthy relationship with social media. She immediately was drawn in because she was able to feel something she has never felt before, love. But it wasn't real love, because social media isn't love. Social media is toxic. And that's where things began to take a turn from bad to worse, because the initial feeling of love would wear off and she would be back to feeling like no one cared for her again. At the same time she's discovering social media, she's also being violated all over again, going from foster home to foster home, and the abuse is just on repeat. Now, during the time that this was all going on, she was constantly begging DCF to send her back home with her mother. She would even beg and plead with her mother to let her come back home. But at this point, she just doesn't want anything to do with her. She would send her horrible text messages, mean text messages. What I don't get is, how can you just abandon your child like this? It's just beyond me. There's gotta be just some major mental illness going on the mother's side. Maybe she was abused as a child as well. I don't know. But there's no excuse for your behavior. Now, while all this is going on, she continues to share and vent on social media. She's getting the attention she craves, but the attention is by internet trolls. You know, the types that just want to crap all over everything. They would get on her live streams while she's venting about her life, and then they would just insult her daily, and they got some kind of joy out of it. So after experiencing the horrible treatment from everyone in her life and from losers on social media for so long, she would make a decision that would shock everyone. On January 22nd of 2017, she would go inside the bathroom at her current foster home. She would do a live stream where she would talk for a couple of hours. Basically, she would go on a rant about her life, tell how she felt about her current situation, and how she felt like she didn't belong here on this earth anymore, and how no one loved her. She also stated that she didn't want to live anymore, and after the stream, she wouldn't be alive. And now, while she was going on with her live stream, people in the comment section were basically egging her on to unalive herself. Now, you take someone with history of depression and who's been through so much, from being abused in multiple ways to being bounced around from foster home to foster home, a person who just doesn't feel wanted. Then they come to social media and they think they finally find love and attention from sympathetic people, to also have those people turn around and treat her like less than as well. That's going to take a toll on someone emotionally, especially for a 14-year-old. Now, granted, there were several people in the chat telling her not to do anything to harm herself, but let's be honest, it's hard to hear words of positivity. We always kind of focus on the negativity. The negative is what we always believe. So after the trolls were done trolling her, picking at her, talking about her, they kept telling her she wasn't going to do it. She wasn't worth anything. They kept telling her that every negative thing that she was saying about herself was true, and it wasn't. With this, she decided to prove them all wrong. While still streaming, she sets up a camera, she ties a scarf up around a bar in that bathroom, all while the horrible internet crowd were constantly commenting, "Do it, do it, do it, you're a faker, it's not even real, this is all a hoax." So she does it. She hangs herself in front of an audience of internet trolls. With how horrible and sad that sounds, it actually gets even worse, because after she did what she did to herself, people were still commenting, saying she was faking, said she wasn't actually doing it, saying it was all still a hoax. But at this point, the video begins to gain more and more views, and it goes viral. Facebook takes quick action and actually takes the video down immediately. But the trolls who had actually saw her video decided to head over to her page, and they all begin to comment that this is fake, it's still a hoax, I don't believe you, she's not actually dead. People were making memes about her. It was just the most disgusting behavior you could imagine. And on that day of January 22nd of 2017, Naika Venant would be pronounced dead. She just couldn't take it anymore. How much more could a 14-year-old take? She felt unwanted, unloved, and useless to those around her. But she wasn't. Now this is where things get even darker, because shortly after her death, allegations from the DCF would surface that Naika's mother attended the live stream where she eventually hung herself under the alias of Gina Alexis. It was also reported that she left the following comment. That comment was, #ADHD games played you sad little DCF custody jit. That's why you were you at for this dumb s. And more you keep crying wolf, you dead, you will get buried. Life goes on after a jit that doesn't listen to their parents, trying to be grown, seeking boys and girls' attention instead of her books, the comment read. Now, I don't know if those allegations are true or not, because the Facebook page was under a different name and that page was getting tons of trolls commenting. I hope it's not true, because that would just be disgusting. Bad enough the trolls would egg someone on to commit that type of act, but your own mother? Gina Kays denied the allegation and made a video about it. In the video, the name of the profile is written as Alex Little, and the profile picture is of a Caucasian woman. Now, whether she changed the profile picture later, changed the name of the profile later, I don't know, but that's definitely some type of troll of sorts, whether it's the mother or not. That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. While researching pictures for this story, I found a screenshot of an original post by Gina Alexis. You notice that the profile picture is of Gina and Naika. The post also contains a screenshot of a text conversation that they had prior. Now, this does look like proof that the mom may have sent those messages during that live stream. But what do you think? Now, till this day, Naika's Facebook page is still up. Some of those hurtful comments can still be found if you dig deep enough. And Naika's page appears to still be alive at first. You see posts going up on a regular basis, until you look further and you realize it's actually her mother, Gina, that took over her Facebook account, and she posts some of her own content to her page. She seems to be really focused on making posts, calling out the haters and trying to prove she wasn't involved in her daughter's horrible upbringing, and that she wasn't involved some way in her daughter's death. It's really just bizarre, because she even promotes her own podcast on her daughter's page, as if she thinks we don't know what we actually know about her. We know about you. You're horrible. But what do you all think? Did the mother encourage her daughter to commit this act against herself? According to the DCF, yes, she did. But what do you think?